video contains graphic content that some may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. As of the release of this video, it has been 75 years since 5 people were killed by unidentified madmen in Texarkana, but its shadow still looms large over the town. The murders are known as the Texarkana Moonlight Murders, and they were committed by someone known only as the Phantom Killer. The first attack took place on February 22nd, 1946, when 25-year-old Jimmy Harless and his 19-year-old girlfriend Mary Jean Larry parked on a secluded road that was known as being a lover's lane, the setting of many such horror stories. When a man approached their car, shining a flashlight, while wearing a hooded mask with eye holes cut out over his face, the Phantom Killer said to Hollis, "I don't want to kill you, fella, so do what I say." He then ordered them both out of the vehicle and demanded Hollis drop his pants. The Phantom then pistol whipped him so hard over the head it fractured his skull. Mary Jean would later recount that the sound was so loud she had thought he had been shot. The Phantom Killer then ordered Mary Jean to run away. When she began to flee, he told her to run in the other direction, up the road. She came across an old car parked off on the side of the road. She ran up to it for help but found it empty, at which point she saw her attacker running towards her. She tried to run away, but he caught up to her and demanded to know why she was running. She pointed out the obvious, that he told her to, but he accused her of lying, then proceeded to knock her down and sexually assaulted her with the barrel of his gun. After the assault, the assailant let her go. She ran half a mile to a nearby house, and from there called the police. The first crime showed strategic thinking on the Phantom's part. He instructed Mary Jean to run in the direction to what was likely his own car, knowing it would slow her down enough so he could catch up to her, and making him that much closer to it so he could leave the scene of the crime. Both Hollis and Mary Jean survived their encounters with the Phantom Killer, and as horrific and traumatizing as it was, they were the lucky ones of his victims. The Phantom, almost exactly 1 month later, on March 23, 1946, would strike again, when the couple of Richard Griffin, age 29, and his underage sweetheart, Polly Ann Moore, age 17, were killed. The next morning, the bodies were discovered on another lover's lane named Rich Road, close to a local bar named Club Dallas. A blood-soaked patch of earth suggested to the police they were killed outside of the car, then placed back into it, with Griffin in the driver's seat and Moore in the back seat. A .32 caliber shell from an automatic Colt pistol was found at the scene, which is what they assumed the murder weapon was. At this point, both Texas and Arkansas City Police, the Department of Public Safety, Miller and Cass County Sheriff's Department, and even the FBI got involved. Around 60 witnesses were interviewed and a $500 reward offered for any information leading to an arrest in this case, but to no avail. It only led to over 100 false leads. Though law enforcement were taking the pair of Lover Lane assaults and now double homicides very seriously, the public didn't pay too much attention to it, given Texarkana's rough reputation at the time. But that would all change just 3 weeks later on April 13th, when the youngest pair of the Phantom Killer's victims would meet their fate. 15-year-old Betty Jo Booker and 17-year-old Paul Martin were brutally killed. Betty Jo Booker, who was an alto saxophone player, was getting a ride home by Paul Martin from a VFW club she was playing at. This was the last time the pair would be seen alive. Around 6:30 a.m. the next morning, Martin's body was discovered on the side of the road, shot 4 times. Blood was also discovered on a fence on the other side of the road, meaning he had dragged himself from that fence to the road, hoping that a passerby would see him and come to his aid, but that would never happen. A search party was soon organized to look for Betty Jo. Her body was found a few hours later, 2 miles from where Martin's was found. Booker had been shot twice, once in the chest and once through the head, by the same .32 automatic Colt pistol that was used in the first double murder. Examination of their bodies also showed that the two had put up a struggle against their killer. The public now went into a full panic, with 4 murders now attributed to this newly named Phantom Killer. Gun stores sold out of guns and ammo. Dog pounds became empty as people adopted them for protection. Locksmiths could not keep up with the demand for installing new locks. The Texas Rangers, led by Manuel T. Gonzalez, were brought in to investigate. A curfew was enacted, but that didn't stop some local teens from parking at Lover Lanes in order to bait the Phantom out so they could kill him and avenge their friends whom he had slain. Police also employed a similar tactic to try to catch the Phantom, which may be why he changed his method on his final attack. On May 3rd, 1946, married couple Virgil and Katie Stark were settling in for the night. Katie was lying in bed and Virgil was reading a newspaper in his chair when the sound of a gunshot and broken glass rang through the air. Katie ran into the living room to see her husband dead, shot twice in the back of the head through the window with a .22 rifle. She ran to the phone to call 911, but the Phantom shots were faster than her rotary phone could dial. She was shot twice in the face, once through her cheeks, the other breaking her jaw and knocking some of her teeth out. She fell to the ground but quickly rose back up and heard the Phantom Killer tearing through her screen door. She ran out of the house, leaving behind a trail of blood and teeth behind her. She managed to make it to a neighbor's house before the Phantom reached her. She told her neighbor, A.V. Prater, her husband was dead, and then collapsed. Prater fired a shot into the air, hopefully to scare away whoever had did this to her if he was following her, but also to alert other neighbors of it. Katie Stark was then taken to a nearby hospital and survived. Investigation in the house led to the discovery of a flashlight and shoe prints left by the Phantom Killer. Bloodhounds were brought in to try to follow the scent on the flashlight, but they lost it around the highway. The shoe size was 10.5, and like with all the previous attacks, nothing was stolen, eliminating robbery as the motive. This would mark the end of his reign of terror in Texarkana. The police believed he was either dead, was arrested for some other crime, or moved away. Interestingly enough, each of those theories could apply to the top 3 suspects of this case. The first suspect, Henry Duty Tennyson, confessed in a suicide note to the murders. He would have only been 16 years old at the time of the murders, and he knew a few of the victims. However, his friends claimed that he was with them during the time of at least one of the murders, so likely it was just the ravings of a suicidal young man. The second suspect, Joel Sweeney, who was a career criminal with a knack for stealing cars. One car theft of his happened to be on the night of one of the double murders, placing him in the same area on that night. His wife, Peggy Sweeney, accused him of being the Phantom Killer to the police, but later recanted that statement, and because she was married to him, she could not be forced to testify against her husband. But Joel was charged as a habitual offender and served 27 years in prison until being released in 1973. Joel would live the rest of his days until his death in 1994, and he denied his whole life of being the Phantom, but the killings did stop after his arrest. The third theory is that the Phantom moved away to California and started another reign of terror 2 decades later, only this time calling himself the Zodiac Killer. Here is a list of the similarities the two killers had that would lead some to believe that they were one and the same. Captain Gonzalez described the Phantom Killer as a cunning individual who would go to all lengths to avoid apprehension and left no stone unturned to conceal his identity. The same could be said about the Zodiac Killer. Both of their MOs was the same, killing couples. Both approached vehicles while shining a flashlight. Both were hooded disguises. Both were thought to have military backgrounds. Both wore size 10.5 shoes, and the Zodiac one time signed one of his letters as the Red Phantom and claimed to have killed 37 people. The Phantom Killer was thought to be in his early 20s in 1946. The Zodiac was thought to be between the ages of 35 and 45 in 1969, so the ages would align. Both attacked on weekends or holidays. The only difference is the height. The Phantom was described as being around 6 feet tall, and the Zodiac around 5'10". Honestly, 2 inches isn't much of a difference, especially since they were eyeballed estimates by victims under extreme distress. Whoever it was will likely never be caught after all this time, but its legacy still lives on. The Town That Dread the Sundown is a movie based on this. I'll link it in the description. It is a decent 1970s horror crime movie about this case. The city of Texarkana plays it every Halloween to not forget the tragedy that happened all those years ago. And another fun fact, Jason Voorhees' original sack mask look from Friday the 13th Part 2 was inspired by the Phantom Killer's look. He didn't go on to don his iconic hockey mask until later on in the franchise. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries, and let me know in the comments what you think about this case.